It dilutes the tone intensity, but it also slightly changes the tone direction to something much softer. Hello, welcome back. In this breakdown, we're going to talk about breaking down pigments. And what that means is all things clear, white, and anything that we would need to dilute a tone or the tone intensity of a color. Let's get into all the options that we have in the Schwarzkopf portfolio that do all of the following. First up, we have in the Agora Royal range a tube of clear. Now remember, in a previous video we had talked about the Schwarzkopf Professional numbering system and why we use numbers. Well, here you can see that the box says 0-00. So essentially it's a box or a tube of nothing-nothing. I say that funny because you can use this to dilute the tone intensity of anything that lives in Agora Royal. So how would I use this? Add it to a part of your formula and match developer. Here's an example. I like my level 6 violet, but I really want to make it more of like a lilac or a lavender. So maybe in that situation, you would do 1 part 6-99 and then 2 parts of your 0-00 clear diluter from Agora Royal. And essentially what you're doing is you're taking that level 6 violet, intense violet, and you're shearing it out to make a softer version of itself. You're keeping the tone direction, you're just diluting the intensity. So that would be with our Agora Royal 0-00 clear. I think most of us are really familiar with using clear in a demi-permanent line like Agora Vibrance. My toner is a little too thick with tone or it feels heavy, mix it with some clear. I'm worried that my lowlights are going to go too deep, mix it with some clear. I don't really want the kind of intense gray blending I get, mix it with some clear. I think a lot of us are very familiar with what it's like to work with a semi or demi line using clear. So again, the Agora numbering system is the same here because this is Agora Vibrance, 0-00 or nothing-nothing. Basically what it does have is the same care technology. All of these do. So no alcohol, less MEA in Agora Vibrance, alcohol-free, vitamins B3, B5, all the same things that the color brand has, just without the pigment. And the point is to dilute the tone intensity. Now you might be asking yourself right now at this point, can I take a level 6 and add clear to make it a level 7? We're going to talk about that too, so just put a pin in that. We have another tube in the Agora Royal range called Pastelfier. Pastelfier is kind of in the name. There's a difference between taking your level 6 intense violet and adding straight clear. A clear dilutes the intensity, but not the tone direction. Pastelfier is almost like a white base, and specifically the Agora Royal Pastelfier is like a white base with just a touch of that cendre or blue violet to give you a powdery finish and pastelize, pastelfy, anything that you're working with. So same idea. I take my level 6 violet, maybe I do 1 part of that, 2 parts of my Pastelfier. That means I'll do 3 of those parts with matching developer, and I take that level 6 violet and I've pastelized it to make it a softer, more pastel version. So there's a difference. Taking that level 6 intense violet and adding clear will dilute the tone intensity. Level 6 intense violet with the Pastelfier will give it a soft white effect to make it more pastel and lilac or lavender. I'll show you the difference in our experiment here in just a second. But we have one last clear option under the Schwarzkopf Professional portfolio. And this involves our TBH line. TBH True Beautiful Honest. We have a tone softener. It's essentially the same thing. So in TBH, you can take any of your 9 levels or 10s, and do a 1:1:1 mixing ratio with your color, the TBH tone softener, and then equal that out with your Agora Royal oil developer. So don't forget, I can make a toner out of anything in TBH by adding tone softener and developer in a 1:1:1 mixing ratio. So those are the clear and dilution options that we have within the Schwarzkopf Professional portfolio. And the same holds true with our Chroma ID brand. Chroma ID is that mask bonding technology, but with pigment. The beautiful thing there is that we have a clear and an off black. So you could take anything in Chroma ID and make it lighter or darker. But to help make this make more sense, let's come over here and I want to show you the difference between diluting that level 699 intense violet pigment with either clear or something like Pastelfier or tone softener. So here you can see we've got, well, it's like 2 glasses of purple Fabuloso. Just kidding. It's a diluted Blonde Me Cool shampoo in the glass that we just made with water. So it kind of does look like a level 6 violet. And here behind that we have a glass of water, which would stand for clear, and we also have a glass of milk. So when I add clear, just true clear, to this level 6 violet, you'll see what happens to the tone intensity, not the tone direction. I'm a fancy sommelier with my napkin here to not spill. So you can see that that would be like 1 part clear. You can see compared to the original version, it's a little bit lighter, but it still has the same tone direction. Now, let's say we do 2 parts clear. Now compare the two. You still have the same tone direction as we talked about, it's just a more diluted version of itself. So now what would happen if I used, let's say, like a Pastelfier or a TBH tone softener, or like in Chroma ID, we have the clear, which has more of a white base. Take that exact same level 6 intense violet, and then add the Pastelfier. So that's just a little bit. And when you look at the two side by side, you can tell the difference now that clear keeps the tone direction, just lessens the intensity. Milk, or a Chroma ID clear, or something that gives it pastel, like Pastelfier, it dilutes the tone intensity, but it also slightly changes the tone direction to something much softer. Thank you for joining us. That was our demonstration on the differences between maybe adding clear to a solution or a color and diluting the tone intensity, or for example using, let's say, like our Pastelfier and diluting tone intensity but making it more pastel. Hoping all of that is now clear to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and please like and comment if you have any other further questions on anything in the Breakdown video series. We're more than happy to answer them, so stay tuned for more. That good.